Italy is full of places most travelers skip, and some of them are better than the names that get all the attention. Not Rome, Venice, or the usual Amalfi Coast stops, but towns and small cities built on cliffs, islands, and stone, places that feel more surprising the closer you get. In this video, we're visiting 10 of the most underrated places and hidden gems to travel to in Italy. Ready? Let's roam. Number 10. Orta San Giulio, Piedmont. Orta San Giulio is quiet, and that is exactly the appeal. It sits on Lake Orta facing the island of San Giulio, and the whole place feels contained in a way most lake towns do not. The waterfront is compact. The streets stay narrow. Even the main square feels built for everyday life, not for crowds. Then you look out at the island and the whole view settles into place. At the center is the Basilica of San Giulio, and the island became an early religious center tied by tradition to Saint Julius and the Christianization of the lake. That gives Orta its calm, focused mood. It is not a town that tries to overpower you. It wins by staying measured. Number 9. Trieste, Friuli, Venezia, Giulia. Trieste does not feel quite like the rest of Italy, and that is one of the best things about it. The sea is there, the light is there, but the city carries itself differently. The buildings are grander, the streets feel broader. The whole place has the confidence of a port that once served empires, not just visitors. Piazza Unità d'Italia opening straight onto the waterlands immediately. After that, Trieste keeps opening up. Canals, stone embankments, steep streets, neoclassical facades, and that unmistakable Habsburg layer behind it all. The city grew into one of the main maritime outlets of the Habsburg world after becoming a free port in the 18th century. And you can still feel that in its scale and attitude. It is Italian, but not in the expected way, which is exactly why it stays interesting. Number 8. Pitigliano, Tuscany. Pitigliano looks almost absurd from a distance. The town rises out of volcanic tuff in one long band of stone, so closely tied to the cliff that it can look less built than grown there. Up close, it gets even better. Streets run the ridge. Buildings cling to the edge. The cliff is not just background. It is the reason the town looks like this at all. The nearby Etruscan roots point to an older world, and the later Jewish community gave Pitigliano its nickname, Little Jerusalem. That is what keeps it from being just a dramatic skyline. Number 7. Burano, Veneto. Burano is easy to underestimate. People see the bright houses, the canals, the reflections, and think that is the whole story. It is not. The place stays with you because everything feels so clear. Narrow canals, low bridges, boats tied beside the houses, and rows of painted facades that make the island instantly recognizable. Venice can be harder to take in quickly. Burano is the opposite. You get it fast, and it sticks. It started as a fishing island, but it became famous for lace. By the 1500s, that craft was already part of Burano's identity, and in the 1800s, a lace school helped preserve it. That is what gives the island more than just color. Number 6. Procida, Campania. Procida feels like a place people had to figure out as they went, not somewhere designed to look charming. Marina Coricella is the image people remember, pastel houses stacked above boats and arches, but the layout is not cute by accident. The waterfront is tight because the island does not give you much room. The homes climb because they have to. Then you look up and see Terra Murata, the fortified old core of the island, and the mood shifts. This was not just a fishing island. It was the island's defensive heart, with the Abbey of San Michele and later the Palazzo d'Avalos on the high ground above it. In this part of the Mediterranean, coastal raids were a fact of life for centuries, and Procida still carries that history in its layout. It looks soft at first. Then you realize the island was shaped just as much by defense as by beauty. Number 5. Polignano a Mare, Puglia. Polignano a Mare has one of the most striking first views in Italy, and a lot more people should know it. Lama Monachile really does look that good. A narrow opening in the coastline with cliffs on both sides, a bridge overhead, and the town right at the edge. The surprise is that Polignano still holds up after that first view. Balconies hang over the Adriatic. Streets keep pulling you toward sudden drops. Caves cut into the rock below. The place feels wide open to the sea. Its history goes deeper than people assume. The site was occupied in antiquity, and the old bridge over Lama Monachile follows the line of the Via Traiana, the Roman road that tied this coast into a larger network of movement and trade. Once you know that, the whole place clicks. Polignano was built where the land breaks open and where people had to cross it. Number 4. Castelmezzano, Basilicata. Castelmezzano sits deep in the Lucanian Dolomites, with steep rock walls and jagged peaks closing in from every side. That landscape helps explain why this was the kind of place people held for defense, not comfort. Houses gather in the folds of the mountain. Stairs do what streets cannot. The church tower rises up, but it just joins the vertical lines already there. Above the village are the remains of Castrum Medianum, a mountain stronghold tied to the medieval frontier world, shaped first by Byzantine pressure, then by Norman and Swabian control. In terrain like this, protection came first, and the settlement still shows it. Castelmezzano was not laid out for ease. It was shaped by rock, height, and the need to survive in a hard place. Number 3. Alberobello, Puglia. Alberobello is more recognizable than some of the other places on this list, but it belongs here because there is still nothing else in Italy that really looks like it. The trulli are so distinctive that even one street can feel slightly unreal. White walls, conical stone roofs, one after another. But the real impact comes when you see them across a whole district. The tax legend says these dry stone houses could be taken apart quickly when inspectors came, helping local rulers avoid taxes on permanent settlement. But Alberobello is bigger than that story. It preserves a dry stone building tradition tied to the wider Itria Valley and a much older way of building with local stone. Alberobello is not just quirky, it is a regional building culture that survived. Number 2. Civita di Bagnoregio, Lazio. Civita di Bagnoregio has one of the best approaches of any town in Italy. You do not just arrive there. You cross a long pedestrian bridge toward a settlement sitting alone on top of an eroding plateau of volcanic tuff, with ravines all around it where the land has fallen away. From a distance it barely looks possible, even though this site goes back to the Etruscans, who were building in this part of central Italy long before Rome turned it into its own world. That long history gives Civita some of its pull. The erosion is not just scenery, it is the reason the town feels so dramatic. Then you get inside and everything tightens up. Quiet lanes, old stone, plants spilling over the walls. It feels small and intimate, but the drop is never far away. You are always aware of where the town is sitting. Civita is one of those places where the famous view tells the truth. It really is that improbable. Number 1. Matera, Basilicata. Matera was already ancient before Rome became Rome. People were living here in prehistory, carving homes into the limestone above the ravine long before Matera took the shape we know now. You can still see that history in the Sassi, cave dwellings, churches, stairways, terraces, and stone facades, packed so tightly together that from a distance the city looks uncovered rather than built. Then you walk into it, and the whole place gets stranger. Roofs become streets, streets become staircases. Churches come straight out of the rock. Everything overlaps because everything had to adapt. Matera does not feel preserved in the usual sense. It feels unbroken, as if people never stopped negotiating with the stone. That is why it stays with you, not just because it is beautiful, but because it feels older than the idea of a beautiful city. Those are 10 of Italy's most underrated places and hidden gems. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe for more Italy and history-driven travel, and let me know which place I should cover next. Until next time, keep roaming.